Welcome back to the Forza Juventus podcast. I'm your host, Enrique Ortega. Joined with me, as always, Anthony from Primo Calcio. And last week's episode was great with Berto. We had a ton of conversation to go through, especially after the previous three matches. And we ended that episode with the Atalanta preview of last weekend. Um, and so let's just get straight into it. 1-1 draw. We saw Atalanta strike first, right at the last minutes of the first half. Then we saw Cabal even it up in the 78th minute for Juve. Ended up being 1-1 draw. There was a moment there where Weston McKennie almost took the game winner, but ended in a draw. So, based on what we talked about with us last week and Berto, how are you feeling after that game? Just initial thoughts.
I mean, kind of expected. I thought I know Bert's when I said 2-1, and against his better judgment, because I think he wanted to go where you went with the 1-1. Yeah, I don't think Atalanta's a very good team. I don't think we're in very good form right now. I think that we've been getting some of the issues that we noticed in the intermatch and moved on to the Dortmund match, moved on to the Verona match, and we saw it again. I think these are now our team characteristics and not just temporary issues. So, yeah, my first impression was kind of expected.
Agreed. Yeah, I was the only one last episode to say the draw, and like as predicted, I mean it was kind of obvious. I think we both, as much as we wanted to see a win there for our team, at the end of the day, I think we both knew that 1-1 was the most likeliest of the outcomes. I think it was one of those where the first half, I thought we looked really good. I thought our team was playing well. Even surprisingly, Coop Miners seemed to have a chip on his shoulder that game. He was doing well in the midfield. Weirdly enough, Turam wasn't the one in the midfield that was having a good game. So it was nice to see a rejuvenated Coop Miners, but at the end of the day, it resulted in nothing but a point for Juventus. But I kind of want to touch on the defense since that's your specialty. It was one of those where, again, it didn't look great. We had Kalulu on the right wing, we had Bremer and Kelly, and then just one of those where, I mean, Odzic, we'll start with the goal from Atalanta. Odzic gave the ball away after he was pressed, and then Gatti kind of lost his footing, gave free space, boom, goal. Fair enough, the goal. There was not much Di Gregorio can do, but I want to hear your thoughts on the defense.
Yeah, I mean it was a concern in preseason. It's concern now. Gatti was excellent last year. He had a great season last year. He is playing like absolute crap this season. Our whole entire defense is. I mean, Bremer's running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and that's because there's no midfield in front of him. And Coop Miners made a couple. He had a couple positive impacts. Yes, not yesterday, 2 days ago. But I mean, it wasn't a good game for his standards. It's a good game. It's a very average game. And yeah, Turam, I think the scary thing is these guys. If we don't steady the ship right now, if we don't get some sort of structure and discipline, this is going to spiral out of control. Because I don't care who you are. If you have some little fast guy running at a big slow guy, they're going to win that battle every time. And you got a young kid out there, Nacic, who's been playing well. I love that he's shooting the ball. I think he should play. He's had a positive impact, I think. But those are some of the things that happen with the kid who's getting pressed. Where's the support? Where's he supposed to pass? Who's there to back him up? Gatti, of course, gets smoked. He's a. I used to be. I used to be a little fast guy. I love going against big guys. That's rock paper scissors battle right there. Turam's not coming to help out. Oncic isn't gonna. I mean, he did his best. He's not gonna play great defense. I mean, there needs to be a little more team support. And I think a lot of that situation happened because everyone's bombing forward so quickly to get the field, and that's Tudor's style. And there's really not a lot of structure. So, it's scary. But I don't know if Tudor can steady the ship with the players he's got. But it's certainly a problem, I think, having Coop Miners and Turam in the same midfield. At least need Locatelli out there, and he's not going to save the day by any means. But we need to have Locatelli in the midfield. It's not a great thing when he's our best midfielder.
I kind of want to go back to what you said. Odzic, again, 18 years old, got his first start. I thought he looked okay. Like it didn't look bad. Yes, the giveaway is what people are going to remember him for his first debut, starting debut. Um, but again, it was one of those, like you said, midfield options wasn't there. He didn't have a passing outlet. It was unfortunate that that's what happened to him. And a team like Juventus of the past, a defense would have prevented that goal, not this time. And that's what you have been definitely harping on since we started this podcast, that our defense is going to be an issue. Even with Bremer back, he kind of has, Gatti has dipped dramatically from last season. It's a kind of a guy I wouldn't want starting on my team ever. And that's what happened this summer. No defensive reinforcements. Rugani's back, but he's not even sniffing a minute of play. I think at this rate, Rugani needs to play because Gatti is being a liability at this point. Kalulu, yeah, he's playing 90 minutes every game so far as a right wing back. And then when he gets, like if somebody like João Mario subs in, they move Kalulu back. At that point, he's gassed. He's tired. 90 minutes under his belt going forward and back on D. There's no point. The biggest issue is defense. And sadly enough, that's going to be our issue until January if there's plans to bring somebody back. But again, got off track there. I want to talk about the starting lineup. Were you surprised to see Adzic and Koopmeiners starting? Even Openda getting the shout. I thought we'd for sure see Jonathan David start this week. But yeah, back to that, please.
I'm not surprised to see Adzic start. I like that start. I like I think the players he selected in defense were correct. I mean, we made a mistake, but so did they. We couldn't capitalize on anything else going forward throughout the rest of the game. I'm not big on, like, I didn't harp on Thuram for his mistake a few games ago where he was against Inter, he was trying to dribble it out.
It was essentially the same thing as Adzic. The press.
Yeah, I mean, make plays. Yeah, when you get pressed like that and everyone's bounding forward, you're going to get stuck like that. So, yeah, there was definitely an option for him to make, there's definitely a better choice to be made. And it's, hindsight's 2020. But the main thing is you got to back your guys up when that shit happens. I mean, you it's a team game. And part of that team game is that when it's your turn to make the mistake, your boys got your back. And they just don't. I mean, you can even see Thuram's effort on that goal was super lazy. What I was surprised to see was Koopmeiners again in the starting lineup. He wasn't our worst player on the pitch, but, I mean, his standard's so low now that people were considering him to have a good game. It wasn't bad, but I mean, Jesus, we spent a lot of money on this guy. He hasn't had a single decent performance or good performance for us. I have no idea what he's still on the pitch in a game that we really need to use to win, to start getting back, trending in the right direction, because we are absolutely not. But I don't know. I don't know if Tudor can fix this. But what needs to happen is, I think what you saw in Rome when Ranieri took over Roma. The first thing he did, and that was an absolute disaster. The first thing he did was lock down the defense. He just sat back, locked it. That team turtled like no other. And of course they had, a great player like Dybala that can fix everything. He happened to be having a great season. We don't really have a player like that. But he needs to put more focus on defensive structure. And, there was a few matches this weekend where, and one especially, the Napoli-Milan match, where we saw two great coaches, teams that had great defensive structures. And we are not one of those teams. We don't have that at all. And that is on the coach. I always say that I don't think the players are very good, but I think the coach is at the level of players, and we're really suffering from that right now. So starting lineup-wise, I don't mind Openda. David probably should be out there, but, Openda's a good player. There's no reason he shouldn't, get some minutes. Adzic has been playing well, and it's not like Openda and David are some world-class players that, need to go out there every time. I mean, Adzic certainly earned some minutes. I have no problem with him playing. Koopmeiners, I don't know how he has ever earned a minute since he's been here. It's talk about pissing off the locker room. If I'm in that locker room and I see that guy get another call-up, I'm pissed off. The rest of it I thought was fine. It's who we got. It's who we've been playing. I'll never like Kelly. He wasn't the worst defender yesterday. And, Gatti or Kalulu, either one you play there is just as big a bonehead as the next. I like your shot for Rugani. I don't know why we don't have Rugani out there. And now it's like, God, if he comes out there and doesn't play an amazing game, we're totally screwed. But I think he's the right mental – he's the missing piece mentally on our back line. I don't think even Bremer. I don't think he's a very smart player. He's just super athletic and talented. So I think a guy like Rugani next to Bremer and whoever else at that point, it doesn't matter. Kelly, Gatti, Kalulu, they all are just as worse as the next. I'd like to see Rugani out there, certainly.
I think touching back on the point for somebody like Coop Miners, who you're right, doesn't deserve a start, doesn't deserve the minutes he's been getting. Super sub, sure, whatever. Grab him 30, 20 minutes under the belt. We need somebody of quality to just even come onto the pitch. But getting a start is, at this point, getting a bit ridiculous. I think with what Tudor, I mean, he's getting barraged with questions all season. What are you going to do with Coop Miners? What are you going to do with Coop Miners? Is he going to pick up his form? What are you going to do to get him back to where he was at Atalanta? I think at this point, there is no coming back to what he was at Atalanta. I think that is all on Coop Miners, but I think Tudor's forcing it. Like we mentioned last time, he's forcing these minutes on them. And I think he gave him the start against his former team for that reason. Just play against your former team, have a little chip on your shoulder, which is what we thought we were going to get last year. But now we have to carry it on to this season to be like, oh, here's your revenge match, which again, it's not working out again. Yes, you're right. He had a great first half. He was a difference maker somewhat in the offense. But again, it resulted in a 1 point on the table, not much to do off that. But I think with that in mind, Gatti doesn't deserve the minutes he's been getting. Rugani, somebody who is a veteran of the team for years, winning player under winning coaches. He's seen many different coaches. Last year when he was out on loan at Ajax, he had a good year. I mean, yes, Dutch league, say whatever you want. Still, as a player, he's useful. And if a player like Gatti is not doing what he needs to do in the back line, what is wrong? We can give Coop Miners unlimited chances, but a solid veteran who every time he's been on the pitch in recent years hasn't really put a foot wrong in. It's at this point, yeah, it's going to cause, like you said, potentially locker turmoil. It's favorability at this point. And I don't know how Tudor really plans to move on in the season. Again, I think us as fans, and we've mentioned last time with Berto, it's a bit confusing with Tudor. He's strict. He's rigid with his system. He doesn't want to change. Is it because he doesn't want to see Coop Miners off the pitch and get worse, and he just is hoping playing him will bring the best out of him? Doesn't look like that way. Gatti playing terribly. Maybe he'll find his form out there if he keeps playing terribly and have one good game that brings back. I don't know. But Tudor is strict, and at this point, it is going to be an issue. It's going to keep having a problem. And funny enough, he's not strict with his attack, except with Yildiz, which makes sense, always having a starting spot. But we've seen David, Openda, and Vlahovic start in the striking position. So far, I think Jonathan David and Vlahovic, Jonathan David obviously scoring on his debut, and Vlahovic scoring a few times off the bench. But the attack is the one that's being changed so often when at the end of the day, we kind of need to see a bit more strictness with that, because whatever is producing the best results, that's why we see Kenan Yildiz all the time, because he's giving the assist. He can score a goal. He can create the magic. He's the 10 on the offense. He's the one that they're feeding to, except, which is what I want to go to next, the Zagrova cameo once again. This was the time where we saw a shift of, it's not give the ball to Yildiz anymore. It's give the ball to Zagrova and see what he can do. So I want to hear your thoughts on his Atalanta cameo.
I thought he was excellent. I'm very certain he's going to be an excellent player for us. I mean, he's a quality. He has actual class. Sees the field well. I mean, if he's healthy now, I don't see any reason we shouldn't be starting Yildiz and Zagrova every game. Especially if we're going to run Kalulu over there, who's more defensive-minded wing-back. That's totally fine. Like, that's Zagrova and Yildiz behind striker X, who cares, is fine. I don't think even our attack is fine enough. Our problem is truly in defensive structure in midfield. We never build up from there. And I don't like our defensive talent. I think it's low. I think it's bad. But anybody's going to struggle if you have defenders running at you. So, and you can't tell me that Thuram can't play a more holding role. I think they're instructed to bomb the net. I think that's what Tudor thinks is good. That's how he understands how to attack. I mean, Kelly's bombing into the box every chance he gets. Gotti's doing it too. I mean, they're just bombing forward, and they're caught with their pants down time and time again. There's a few lucky saves, but I thought McKennie was just as functional as Coop Miners was. So I don't understand why Coop Miners keeps playing. I don't. I like Odzic. I hope that doesn't make people lose confidence in him. You got to play these kids because you have a bunch of average players. Odzic could be a better than good. He could be a good to great player, maybe potentially, but he needs to play. If our team was much better, I'm all for loaning kids out, getting the minutes elsewhere, bringing them when they're ready. We're not in that spot right now. Play the kids. When Moretti's back, I expect him to get on the field. Zagrova, he should be playing. Guys who haven't cut it for over a year now, guys that are failing right now, like you said, Gatti shouldn't be on. He has earned a spot. Rugani, give him a shot. Can't be worse than Gatti. Can't be worse than Carullo in defense. Those guys have been terrible this year. Kelly's been terrible defensively. He's got some goals. He's been terrible defensively. There's space for these guys. Other guys need to start playing with the group we have, and we need to see who actually wants to be out there.
I agree. I think, like you said, that defensively, I think at the end of the day, we know we're going to see a struggle for the majority of the season, if not in January, if they fix anything. But at the end of the day, it comes down to finances. What money do we have to spend? What sales are we going to make? At the end of the day, our defense is what it is. Thin. It's not a smart defense. It's a big defense. We have tall players, physical players, but if you can't put the smarts and the physical together, what do we get? Headless chickens, like you said earlier. So that will be a reoccurring issue all season. I want to talk about the subs of the game. Again, Vlahovic, one of the first ones up. We saw Zagrova, we just mentioned, Weston McKennie, Joao Mario, and of course, Juan Cabal, who scored his first ever Serie A goal. I want to go to that play again. It was a tale of a mistake in the first half from Juve and a mistake from Atalanta in the second half. Very lucky on both ends. But what was different in the second half is that Atalanta got a red card. Martin de Roon, their captain, was sent off for a second yellow after a stupid mistake. And that should have really opened up the game for Juve. So I want to talk about those last about 20 minutes when Martin de Roon sent off. How do you think the approach should have changed? Because again, it was Zagrova and figure it out from there because Yildiz wasn't getting the ball as much after the de Roon send off. So what do you think Tudor should have done? Again, I want to quickly touch before too that we saw Tudor late subs again. It was horrible subs. I think we can have an entire podcast dedicated to Tudor's mistakes and all that. But I kind of want to know your last impressions of the 20 minutes with the red card.
I don't think it was the worst performance he's had with subs. He certainly had worse ones this year. But I do want to say that was an incredibly soft yellow card. I mean, if that hurt McKennie's face, I hope I'll take some money to box the guy. I mean, that's ridiculous. But that's the nature of the game now. It's a shame that it's like that. It's a shame that kind of behavior gets rewarded, but it is what it is. We got they got the red card and we got put in a good spot. I mean, the opportunities are there. You got to make the plays. Zagrova, a lot of dribbling, some good opportunities. Did it phase Yildiz out a little bit? He still had his chances. I mean, there's just no structure. There's no offensive structure. There's no defensive structure. It is, yes, get the ball to the guy and figure it out. Bomb forward. Try to get some sloppy goal. That's okay when you're up 1-0, and you have a good defensive shape. But when you're just playing backyard ball, it's that's essentially what we're doing. Playing backyard football, and that's going to happen. And the one thing I always say is, the one saving grace we have is that nobody else is that good. And Atalanta, like us, had a brain fart moment. Boom, tie game. I don't think either team really earned the goal. There was just a couple of defensive mistakes, and at the end of the game, I think that we had certainly some opportunities to put it away, and we just didn't capitalize. That's on the players. in that sense. But yeah, I mean, Tudor's got a whole host of issues. But I don't think the subs were that bad. I mean, who else would you like to see out there? That she should have signed?
I just think I think I'm gonna have to agree. I like seeing Zagrova. I think we've said Vlahovic off the bench is our super sub. I mean, we've seen it.
Has been.
Yeah, exactly. So that's fine. I would have liked to see David though. I'm Jonathan David. I think has been being iced out a bit, and I don't know if it's intentional or not. But we brought in this guy to. We didn't know Pendo was coming. We all thought Randall Colomwani was going to come back at some point. And we thought Vlahovic was going to leave. And so what does that leave David? Our free transfer that we got, our main guy. And then all of a sudden now he's third on the pecking order for a guy who's 1 foot out at the door with Vlahovic. And we're already seeing rumors that Newcastle, Bayern are all looking at this guy as a potential market opportunity. Because I think we know at the end of the day he's not signing a new contract with us. And if he leaves in January, is our kind of only hope, but I don't think he's going to leave then either. We're seeing rumors that he's probably not going to leave. Chiellini has said he's not going to leave in January. So what does that mean at the end of the day? He's staying with us until he's gone. So why I get why we have Vlahovic coming in, because again, we've seen super sub form. He's going to come in, maybe score a goal too. But why not give David a chance to maybe bring something different in the attacking phase? Have the striker up top that he's been doing. He's scoring 20 plus goals a season. And it's just one of those where I'm kind of trying to figure out and wrap my head around that a guy that we gave a multi-year contract to potentially lead this line, and we're not giving him the run he had, or we're not giving him a run in general to feel this team out, to learn from the team, play with Yildiz, who's a guaranteed star on the team, Thuram and Locatelli, those guys to help kind of understanding where things are going to be. So I think it's just a bit confusing. I like Openda too. Again, it's nothing against Openda. I just think for somebody like Jonathan David, I'd like to see a bit more from him. But I think, again, the rest of the subs, there's not much we can do about that. But I do think Jonathan David needs to get more minutes just because he has a contract. He is at least going to be here for a couple years. So why not feel him out instead of giving Vlahovic some revenge points so he can leave and get the contract that he actually wants and not one that we are willing to give? Why not give the guy that is on this team for multiple years to give a run? Just if you have anything to say about that.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a great point. I mean, you have 7 attackers if you include Ozic in there.
Yeah.
And when Moretti comes back, I mean, I don't really see Moretti as a central midfielder. He's
Probably
certainly not going to solve our defensive problems. So to me, he's an attacking midfielder in Tudor's system, precisely in his system. He's an attacking midfielder. So you have 8 players in 6 positions. And this is what happens when I was saying earlier in the season, they were, in the earlier podcast, they were taking advantage of market opportunities and not building a team to win. He's got to get all these guys in. Yes, I think you should prioritize the guys that you're planning to being here for a long time. But then again, David was brought in on a free. So if they do decide to sell him, he's going to bring in some profit. So maybe he's not so iced in just because the contract says so. I mean, that's just so they can amortize and stretch the money out over multiple years. So there may be something going on there. But the other guy's Vlahovic, whose contract's expiring. The other guy's Openda, who's in on loan. So I don't know. It's I don't necessarily hate that Tudor gave Openda a shot. It's a bummer that Openda didn't make the most out of it. If he would have put a ball in the net, then everyone would have been real happy. But or if he didn't start him at all and David stunk it up, everyone would say, "Where's Openda? Where's Openda?" So it's a hard call. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to prioritize someone, maybe prioritize the guy you're trying to build your club around. But by that, that's a logical thought process, but this is not how we're thinking right now. We're just thinking about market opportunities and plus Valenza. So, I don't know. I agree with you though. I think that we should go, Zagrova, Yildiz, and David should take priority. I think Vlahovic off the bench is fine. I think he made a good call there. He's been hot, especially off the bench. You're down a goal, so you got that, the game has that desperate stink to it. So perfect time to throw Vlahovic in and hopefully he can put it in the net. And he just didn't.
I think one thing too with David, especially with Zagrova gaining fitness, hopefully maybe in a few games we'll see a full 90, 60 plus minutes from Zagrova. But Zagrova and David were teammates. So that's chemistry right there. They're coming from the same team to the new team, and it's why not try it out? Yildiz, I feel, can play with anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't see him struggling with a different striker. We saw him thrive with Kolomuani. I don't think anybody can thrive with Vlahovic on this team, but just either way, Yildiz can play with anybody that I've seen around him. So why not throw a guy who can play with everybody, with Zagrova and David, who have played together? That's chemistry right there. Two guys in Yildiz and Zagrova who can make something out of nothing, to Jonathan David, who's our prolific striker, who can poach, who can score goals, he can shoot with both feet. You have options. So I think that's kind of my only confusion around David. It's just I feel bad for him. Like he came to they probably told him in the negotiations that, hey man, you're probably going to be starting, you'll be playing all the games. Dusan Vlahovic is on his way out. Like you're our guy, and now he's not getting those opportunities, especially when we saw him score in his debut. It's just one of those where it's again, it's whatever Tudor wants at this point. So whatever his confusion is tactically wise, we're just gonna have to sit through it. But again, I'd just like to see David get a bit more time. But just to quickly close out, one stat that surprised me in the game was that Juve had 24 shots and 10 of those being on target. I think that was the biggest surprise of the night. And yeah, we didn't win, but I want to see the guy shoot. Like you said,
Yeah.
Odzic having the balls to shoot from outside the box. I don't care if he misses. If he happens to shoot, misses, but it hits off the post and a rebound, I'm a big advocate for outside the box shots because there's the potential for a goalkeeper to not be able to catch it, parry it off, and somebody else could rebound and score. Who knows? So I think it's an improvement in the offense that we're seeing more shots, but it's a negative on the defense that we're just letting in all these goals. So we have the attacking prowess to kind of go up against anybody, the speed, the tactical skills. We have a good balance in attack, but I think at the end of the day, 3 points is what mattered, and we didn't get that. So any last thoughts from you, Anthony, before we move on to our next topic?
No, I like the comment about the outside the box shots. I mean, I think Karnaseki made some very sweet saves. I mean, he's a
Yeah,
really good keeper
for
too.
sure.
So I mean, Ozic put some good balls on that, and he was all over. So he had a good game too. But no, I mean, I don't think our problem is attacking at all. I just one mistake is what cost it for us. I think Tudor needs to get his team organized, get them defensively organized, understand how to actually build out, and understand how to possess the ball correctly in the offensive zone instead of just blasting stuff forward or giving it to one guy and asking him to do a lot of work, which is fine, but not every time. There needs to be some structure.
Definitely. And on to our next, well, hopefully we'll see 3 points, is Champions League. We're back. Juve play Villarreal on Wednesday. They will be traveling to Villarreal, and one of those where we're coming off a 4-4 draw with Dortmund, an exciting 4-4 draw, one that we had no business really getting a point out of, but we did. So moving on to the next match after playing the Atalanta, we have 3 draws. Inter, Dortmund, no, sorry, Dortmund, Verona, and now Atalanta. 3 draws. What do you think? Just going straight to it before we get too much, or before we dive into it, what are your predictions for the game? 3-1.
Yeah. No, I think that we're gonna, we're gonna have that coming out party here. We've been scoring a lot of goals lately, and I don't know. I think we should beat Villarreal. Yeah, I think we're gonna be okay.
I wish I had the same thought as you did. I'd love to see it. Going into the game again, Villarreal is 3rd in La Liga. They've lost 1. They've won 5, drew 1, sitting 2 points behind Madrid, sitting 3 points behind league leaders Barcelona. So they're not some pushover team right now. They're not the same Europa League team that we faced a few years ago. This is a team that is having a good start to their season. And I always say Spanish teams are one of the best tactically sound in all of Europe. I love the way Spanish football is. So I'm a bit apprehensive on this Villarreal team only because they're coming in with a bit hotter form. Um, but I think kind of my theme with this Juventus side is that it's unpredictable. There really is no prediction for this team. Nobody predicted Inter and Juve were going to score 7 goals. Nobody predicted 8 goals in the second half of Dortmund. Nobody predicted a 1-1 draw versus Verona. So at the end of the day, I think the only prediction we had was maybe the Atalanta 1-1. But it's a very we're in a time right now where there is no, oh, we're going to come out hot. Oh, I think we're going to lose that one. It's really kind of a crapshoot at this point. And so that's why I think this Villarreal match is important for us, especially if we have the mentality that you have, Anthony, of we can come out and beat them. I think that's what we need to do. We need to come out with a mentality of, oh, this is not to say they're a scrub, but we need to go in with that mentality is they are beatable. Let's go out and kill them. Let's go out and score 3 on them. If we give up 1, whatever, but we need to go out there and have a statement game. That's my thoughts going into this, that Villarreal, no pushover by any means, but Juventus need to have that mentality.
Yeah, we need a statement game. Tudor needs a statement win. I mean, he really does. And it needs to. I think it's always going to be sloppy with him. It's just inevitably going to be sloppy. But there will be space. There will be gaps. They will not be defensively tight. They're not going to sit back and stuff the box. So we're going to have opportunities to score, but they're going to be a lot more dangerous than Atalanta was as well. So yeah, it's probably going to be there's probably going to be some goals scored, and I think my prediction is probably going to be way off point, but I just want to see one of those statement games, and I think that we could have it against a team that isn't going to play such staunch defense. And I mean, I'm not saying that Villarreal isn't below our level. Certainly not anymore. I don't think this is Juventus in name only. We're not like we used to be. Sorry, it's true.
Yep.
So we have to earn every match. We don't actually have a much better roster than they do. And if we think that, then we're just overvaluing some of the guys just because they wear our shirt. But on any given Sunday or any given Wednesday, you can play a game. And I think that teams that are having a few shitters in a row, pardon my French, are due at some point to course correct. I think we saw that with Lazio. Was it today? Lazio today against Genoa. They've been really stinking it up, and then boom, they have this out of body experience where all of a sudden they remember everything, and then they go right back to stinking it up again. It happens with kids. I mean, that's the kind of mental level these professional athletes are at these days. There's no classes consistency, and that's just not there anymore. So I just want to see us get that one game, play our asses off, and not just in offense. Work your ass off in defense. I want to see Thuram when if the guy next to him screws up, get your ass in there and help him.
I think you made a really good point earlier. Was Juventus in name only? That's where we're at right now. Juventus, name-wise, is one of the biggest clubs in the world. The history is there. Everything's there. The prestige is there. We are a massive club. But right now, on the footballing stage, we're not. In name only, like you said. In the past, losing to Lyon, losing to Ajax, losing to Villarreal, all these teams that at the end of the day aren't on our name scale like we are. But those are the teams we're losing to. We're losing to Porto again. Those teams where maybe if we were like a Napoli or somebody that doesn't have our stature, it would make a little more sense. But we're not at that point anymore. I think us as a fan base, we do get carried away with the name that this is who we are. We can beat anybody. But from what we've seen since 2020, even before that, we are not. We shouldn't be taking teams like Villarreal for granted. These teams have come up and shown up against us, and right now, I think our focus needs to be is that we are Juventus. We need to represent the shirt. We need to play our asses off, but we're not going to go in and just say these guys are below our level because that's what brings us down. That's even as fan base. That's what we get more upset about is we lost to a team like Ajax, like Porto, like Lyon, like Villarreal. Names like those that us as fans get upset about, because it's like, no, we're Juventus. We're going to lose to anybody. Make it somebody like a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, because those are the names that everybody knows, not these small clubs, which that's been our problem. That's been our problem in the past few years. So it's one of those where I just get frustrated because as much as I'd love to believe that we can beat anybody, we're just not there. And I think we've said that all throughout our podcast. We're not there yet. I don't know when we'll get there. I don't know how what the plan is, what we're gonna do, but we're
That's the
not
question. What's the
exactly.
plan?
And I think we've seen a small hint of it from Kamoli for the team building and what he's been able to do. He's a huge upgrade on Juntuli. I mean, I don't know if you saw the comments from Dean Hoyson's dad.
Oh yeah.
It seemed that Mata and Juntuli being more of the, hey, this is for finances, but Mata's like, no, dude, you're gone. I'm gonna, like, very bluntly and disrespectfully to Hoyson, an academy product who wanted to stay at the club. So again, I know you're a big Juntuli hater, and I'm not against that. He definitely ruined a lot of what we could have done.
Well, he destroyed this club.
Yeah.
He destroyed. What my brother and I went into detail on this. I think last year during the midseason. I didn't like him when he came here in the first place. What he did at Napoli, everyone was so pumped up what he did at Napoli. What he did at Napoli was for 8 years churn players in the meat grinder. He came in here. He destroyed one of the best next gens in Italy. Got rid of any sort of class and experience we had. Brought in a hipster coach when we had one of the best coaches in the business. And now we're here. If you look at our roster before Juntuli took over, I'd say we were in a better spot. We were a couple key class pieces away from taking the next step. And yeah, it was a journey, and yeah, it was rough, but we there was a lot of stuff we had to clean up from Paratici. And we slowly but surely were. And those contracts were expiring and expiring and expiring. And they finally did. And I know a lot of people gave Juntuli credit for balancing the books yesterday. First of all, he didn't balance the books because we had all his debt from last year's bad loans that we had to pay for this year. So he didn't balance shit. And all he did was mortgage off our future for a bunch of average players that now we're stuck with. We have amortized debt for a long, long time. Hopefully, Luis goes. Hopefully, he gets rid of Koopmeiners. Hopefully, we can get rid of some of these guys that haven't earned a fraction of what he paid for. But now we're stuck here. So this is why I give Kamoli a little bit of a pass. I think Kamoli won in his negotiations. He did a good job in those. I don't think he's building a team. I think he's taking care of market opportunities, but that might be what he just needed to do to kind of unscrew this whole project. So I don't think that we're at a level that we want to be. And I think that fans need to be realistic about the season. I think we've been realistic since the beginning. We kind of knew, like, this is a course correction season. You know, Tudor's not the best coach in the world, but he's who wanted to be here. He's the guy we got. We whiffed him on a bigger name. And I think we need to get through the season in top 4. We need to get rid of some more of the garbage that's here. And I think certain players, and I think we brought up a few of them in this cast, this is your year. If you want to stay here, you need to earn your spot for next season. Because if you're not absolutely good enough to wear the shirt, you need to be gone. And this is your last season to do it. So we go into a game like against Villarreal, which is honestly talent-wise on paper, I wouldn't say they were worse, truly. I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of high expectations for some of these players we have. I don't think they're as good as people think they are. Okay, Yildiz, Bremer, Zagrova, that's probably the tops. The rest of them, they're just switching with anybody else. It doesn't matter. They're not that good. So going against a game like Villarreal, these are the games that players get a chance to prove it. Like, we were talking about Openda starting. I mean, if Openda goes and puts in a goal in the last game, no one's looking for David. And if you want to be a starter on this team, it's very simple. Put the ball in the net. Why is Yildiz an undisputed starter? He's putting the ball in the net. He's performing week in, week out. He's getting back, helping out on defense, busting his ass going forward. Everybody needs to be doing that. And I just have a hard time believing that these guys making these big, big bucks on this sweet team, getting, extravagant massages from their trainers in between matches. They don't want to go out there and bust ass for, 90 minutes? Come on.
I think You nailed it. I think just going back really quick, Kamoli has, I think he does get some praise of it was what he wanted or nothing. And that's what we need. We needed somebody that has the balls to be like, oh, you're lowballing me? Well, too bad. Like you can find somewhere else. Like you're either going to pay for what we got, what we're giving you, or you can find somebody else. And that's what I praise the most about Kamoli is that he's doing it his way, and nobody else is going to bully him like they did with Juntuli. Because 15 million for Dean Huijsen, who turned into 60 plus million at Real Madrid, that's ridiculous. Um, and I think with Kamoli here, I don't think Dean Huijsen leaves, but that's something that's a hypothetical in itself. But you're right. It's a no expectation season, and we've been saying that since the start. It's a no expectation season that whatever Tudor does, he's the guy who wanted to be here, and he's with us for who knows how long. My guess is he's a one season wonder guy. Um, but it's what we have. So I'm hoping the Villarreal match is. Again, I like I said, I really have no predictions, expectations for it. I just want to see, like you said, guys bust their asses off, guys willing to get the goal. What I don't want to see is if Coop Miners or somebody comes off the bench, get rewarded the next game. That's the one thing I'm worried about is because we saw with the Inter game, Vlahovic come off the bench in the game before, score a few goals. He's been coming off the bench before then scoring, and then he's rewarded and has a horrible game against Inter. And then next game he comes off the bench in Dortmund, scores 2 goals, gets player of the match, things like that. So I understand wanting to reward guys, but don't reward them because we've seen the full 90 before. So it's what if they do it, let them time. Give them time to do it again and maybe do it one more time and then give them the reward. You don't just give them just because they had maybe a lucky goal. Are we going to start Wonka Ball next game because he scored a goal, a very lucky goal after?
Yeah, right.
So it's just one of those where I want Tudor to not be. He's kind of soft in a way with these guys. He's giving Vlahovic, Coop Miners opportunity, Cambiaso opportunities that got the opportunities that they don't deserve. Um, so it's just one of those where just at the end of the day, we just need to see a team that's willing to play, willing to work their asses off. Villarreal is not somebody to push over. It's going to be a tough match, I think. I think we'll see a tough match. Another one of those where we'll probably see players against Milan this weekend who are tired from the Villarreal match because of how that just seems to be the trend of the Atalanta game. Thuram tired. We don't know if he'll probably start tomorrow. Yildiz playing full minutes. He'll be tired. Bremer getting tired. Again, I'll give Bremer a break because he's coming off an ACL injury. That's not an easy feat to recover from. But again, we're not even 10 plus games in the season and we're having tiredness issues. So got off track there a bit, but
no, this is a good game. This is a really good game to play some of the guys that haven't got the minutes because I quite frankly don't give a shit about Champions League right now. We have bigger fish to fry. We need to finish in the top 4 this year, and it's scarier than it was last year because we have a complete mess of a team thanks to the last guy. So I think that we need to focus on Syria. Syria is right for the pickings. I know that there's some other teams that are looking pretty good right now, but I mean we're not that far off. And I mean it's a big toilet bowl right now. So we have a shot. And if everyone's beating everybody up, that's just better for us. So I would just start some of the backup guys, give some of our other guys a rest. If Tudor's got his guys that he wants to start, fine, whatever. Rest him for this. Play some of your guys like Rugani and McKennie in this match, and let's go. Show those guys that come out there and play this match. This is what I would do if I was Tudor. I would play those guys like McKennie and Rugani. Prove to me that you should be starting over the guys that have been stinking it up. And prove it in a big way. That's what I want to see.
I think too. I agree with that. McKennie, Rugani, let's get the guys who haven't excelled really. Draw Mario, get him out there as well, just to get some minutes. But I do think this is the game that Jonathan David needs to come out for. I think he needs to start. Yeah. I think he needs to get a better feel for this team. Like you said, he's contracted. Who knows if it's a contract to sell because he was a free transfer. But at the end of the day, he has a contract for this team for years. get him out there, start filling out his teammates. It's been too long just to see him starting, let alone he's getting like 10 or less minutes when he does come on. So get him out there. Let's just see. Again, Champions League, like you said, shouldn't be a priority for us because I don't see a chance in hell that we even get close to a knockout game. But again, an unpredictable season yields unpredictable results. So we'll see at that. One last thing, just because you mentioned it, Juventus right now in Serie A are in fourth with 11 points, and the three teams ahead of them, Milan, Napoli, Roma, all tied with 12 points. We're the only team in Serie A that is undefeated in all competitions in Europe. We said that last season too with Mata. We had a long stretch of draws and wins with no conceded goals, and then all of a sudden we lose, and then we're constantly losing. So that doesn't mean much for now. It's where we're at though in this point of the period. Wednesday and on, I believe, what is it, Saturday or Sunday we play Milan. We'll see what happens then. Hopefully we can continue saying we're undefeated, but again, unpredictability is the theme of this season's team. So it's gonna be. I think it will be a fun match. I will say. I do think the Villarreal match will be a good game, regardless of who's starting. If it's the scrubs, if it's the guys who's getting no minutes, it'll be a fun match. I think. So I'm looking forward to it. I always love Champions League football, no matter who's playing. But it will be a fun match, and I'm personally looking forward to it. Anthony, any closing thoughts?
No, I just I want to see some different guys. I want to see them truly earn their spot in the starting lineup. Truly give Tudor a reason to consider different options with who he's been playing for right now. But they got to get into some games and they got to perform. So that's what I want to see.
I think you're right. I think it's time to find our for sure lineup, and I think only getting the guys in who haven't been playing can add to what that for sure lineup is. Because if we're not seeing those guys like David, like McKennie, we don't know if what they could potentially bring to Tudor's system this season. But that's been it for this episode of the Forza Juventus podcast. Again, we'll catch you all next week after the Villarreal and Milan match. Stay tuned for those, and we'll see you on the next episode.